everyone, my name is Chloe and welcome to the start of a new vlog. So at the end of 2022 or the beginning of 2023, so at the end of December or early in January or something, there was this template going around on all social media that I kept seeing that was like, hey, recommend me 12 books. And so I was kind of slumpy at the time that I saw those, and so I posted it to Instagram and Facebook and said, hey, friends, recommend me as many books as you can. What were your favorites of the year? Help me find something good so I can get out of this dang slump. And so here is going to be a reading vlog of 6 of those books from Instagram. So just so you guys know, Instagram for me is a mix of people I know in real life personally and people that I've met here on booktube and all of that kind of stuff. So I'm going to get, I think, a wide variety of answers, but most of them are people that I've met on YouTube or somewhere like that. Facebook is 100% just personal, just people I know in real life. And so I'm going to do vlogs of both, and I think it's going to be really interesting to see kind of whose books do I like better. Instagram, who's mostly bookish people, or Facebook, who's mostly in real life, maybe less bookish people. I don't know. So for today's vlog, it's going to be Instagram. So some of you guys have contributed to this list, and I am so excited because the variety is crazy. And like, I think out of all of these, there's one maybe that I was kind of planning to pick up anyway, but the other 5 were not on my radar at all, so I'm really excited. So the first 3 I'm still waiting for from the library. I cannot get a dang copy, and so 2 of them are on Kindle Unlimited, and one of them I think I can get on Libby or something, so I can read them other ways, but I'll just insert a picture as I talk about them. So the first one is Wait For It by Mariana Zapata. So this is about a woman who I don't know if she has like biological children or if she somehow is guardian of these kids for some reason. And it's all about like being an adult is a lot harder than we thought. Like, amen. I remember when I was a tween and teen, I just wanted to be a dang adult, and then now I'm here and I'm like, oh, I just want to be a teen or tween where my mom does my laundry, somebody else is meal planning. Like, I would love that. But so it's harder than she thought, and I am assuming she has a romance. I have read, I think, 2 Mariana Zapatas. One I really liked, one I really didn't, but both generally had good atmosphere, good, like, they're such chunky books that they really set the world up pretty well, so I'm hoping that'll be good. And I love, like, single-parent romances, and I know hers are all slow burn, which is, like, a must for me in romance, because if they're too quick, insta-love is, like, instant turn-off. So I have high hopes for that. Next is The Things We Leave Unfinished by Rebecca Yarros. So I have heard a lot of things about Rebecca Yarros and that she will like break your heart, and I feel nervous about that, but like I love books that break your heart. I need an emotional response. So this one I think is about this girl who her grandmother was an author, and she wrote a book but did not finish it and then passed away. And so now there's this super arrogant kind of romance author, I would say like a la Nicholas Sparks, but I don't know Nicholas Sparks, so I'm not going to make judgment on his character, but super arrogant romance man author that has been like kind of shooed in to be the one that finishes her grandmother's novel, and she's not happy about it because she does not like him, but together they start going through like the different notes and things that her grandmother had left, as well as the beginning of the book, and they're realizing that it is a kind of based on a true love story, I think from World War II, in her grandmother's life that does not have a happy ending. And like, I can already feel the pain, but I'm excited for it. What does that say about me? I don't know. Next is Remarkably Bright Creatures by Shelby Van Pelt. And this one I know was like nominated for, if not won, a bunch of Goodreads Choice Awards. I think it's a debut, which I also think is interesting. There's another debut on this list. And so like for people's favorites to be debuts, like guys, we got some authors to look out for. So Remarkably Bright Creatures, I think, is about this woman who takes this job at like an aquarium or something after her husband dies. Her son went missing or died or something many years ago as a teenager, and so she kind of just throws herself into work with this octopus to give her something like an outlet. And so I think it's the relationship between her and the octopus. Totally not like in my wheelhouse of what I would normally read, but maybe going to be really great. And so, like I said, there's 2 debuts. There's also 2 like sea life animal books that, again, I would never pick up. But the next one is Otter by K.A. Applegate. So I think this is Christina Applegate. She writes a lot of different like middle grade animal books, and this one is told all in verse, which I think is so interesting. I love books like this, and I have it obviously physically, and then I also have it on audio, and I'm wondering which will be better, because sometimes listening to books in verse on audio sounds like you can hear the rhythm of the words a little bit better, but I also really like reading them physically, so I'm not sure what I'll do. But this one has a map, so for all of you map lovers, it has a map, and it is about Meet Otter, the queen of play. Nobody has her moves. She doesn't just swim to the bottom. She dive bombs. She doesn't just somersault. She triple donuts. She doesn't just ride the waves. She makes them. So Otter, she spends her days off the coast, practicing underwater aerobics and spending time with a good friend. She's a fearless daredevil, curious to a fault. But when Otter comes face to face with a hungry great white shark, her life takes a dramatic turn, one that will challenge everything she believes about herself and about the humans who hope to save her. So it's inspired by a true story of Monterey Bay Aquarium program that pairs orphaned otter pups with surrogate mothers, which, how cute is that? How sweet. This poignant and humorous tale told in free verse examines bravery and healing through the eyes of one of nature's most beloved and charming animals. So I'm also debating, my daughter turns 5 actually tomorrow, and so I'm debating, do I read this with her? Do I read this by myself? I kind of just want to read it by myself, but really exciting, and it's got a solid author's note in the back, so I'm excited to read that too. Next is the one that was actually on my radar, and that is She Wouldn't Change a Thing by Sarah Adlaka, maybe. And this one, the reason it's been on my radar is because the cover is very, very, very similar to one of my favorite books ever, which is The Dream Daughter by Diane Chamberlain. And it's even blurbed by her at the top. It says a mind-bending story by Diane Chamberlain. That's what she blurbed it as. And so this one is about a 39-year-old woman who I believe wakes up in her 17-year-old body, and she doesn't know how she got there, and she wants to go back. And her job as a successful psychiatrist, her husband, daughters, and unborn son. So, but in only a few weeks, a devastating tragedy will strike her husband's family. Can she change time and still keep what it's given her? I love time travel books like this. Like, I think this is a time travel women's fiction, a la The Dream Daughter by Diane Chamberlain. And like I said, that is one of my favorite books of all time. So I have really high hopes for this, but I'm kind of wondering if this isn't like a, the Taylor Jenkins, or geez Louise, the Christina Lauren book, Love and Other Words, and Every Summer After by Carly Fortune, where they're so similar that it's like a little, the second one definitely loses luster. I hope it's not that kind of case, but I'm excited to read this one. And then the 6th and final book I'm going to be reading for this vlog is Mad About You by Vari McFarlane. And I have read one book by her, I think, and I don't think I loved it. I can't really remember. I don't remember specifics about it at all, so if that tells you anything. But it says Vari McFarlane delivers a sharp, emotional new novel about a woman who calls off her engagement to the perfect man and moves in with a charming stranger who makes her question everything about her life, her past, and the secrets she kept for far too long. So basic romances are not my jam. This one says it's an emotional new novel, and so I'm hoping. And the Harriet is our main character, which I love that name. I love old lady names. You guys know from me having babies on this channel that I like search out old lady names, and I feel like Harriet fits the bill perfectly. But she's a wedding photographer who doesn't believe in like romance, true love, does not want to get married, all of that. And so it sounds really interesting. And we'll just have to see. So those are the 6 books I'm going to be reading. Now, I have not started any of these. If I had to guess my order of enjoyment, let's see. So I would say, I wish I had them all to hold up, but I would say first would be, gosh, probably She Wouldn't Change a Thing. And then maybe Otter, and then The Things We Leave Unfinished, and then Remarkably Bright Creatures, and then wait for it, and then Mad About You. maybe. I don't know. I will say that is my order. So I'll be really interested to wrap this back up in the end and see if I'm right. So stay tuned, and I'm not sure what I'm going to start with. Like, should I start with my favorite, my least favorite? I might start with Otter because this is one that'll go super quick since it's middle grade and written in verse and only 200 and something pages, 260 maybe. So I think I might start with this one to make me feel successful, but I don't know. We'll see. I will check in after I have an update. Hey, everyone. So I have not quite finished Vari McFarlane, Mad About You. Mad About You? Is that right? I don't know. But if so, really? I feel like I would have said something about that. But because, like, Mad About You with Paul Reiser and Helen Hunt is, like, one of our favorite shows of all times. And, in fact, like, we have a family friend who's a musician. And, he sang the theme song at our wedding. It was awesome. But anyway, I'm almost done with it, and I'm liking it. It is definitely a more emotional romance, but not in a way that like has me crying or anything like that. It's just in a way that it provides more depth. So I'm liking it, but I'm still feeling like it's a little bit too long. We are at the library about to do a pickup, and I think they just said to drive up. So I am going to finish my thoughts later. Hey everyone, so it's a few days later and I have a lot to update you on because life has just been kind of busy the past couple days. We all are still getting over some crud, and I don't know, it just seems like we are doing a lot right now. Like our baby, she had her tongue tie released a couple weeks ago, and both of my other girls were orally tied, and so we've been through this before, but like hers was really deep or whatever, and it also occurred right at the same time she got the clear from her doctors to start nursing. And so we're trying to teach her how to do that, and trying to teach a 5-month-old how to nurse is really hard in conjunction with like the tongue stretches and all of that kind of stuff. She also has torticollis, which is just a tightening of the neck muscles. And so we're really working to get like her doing more tummy time, which she loathes, and just trying to get her to do things not on her back. And so all of that is just like all consuming. And so that's kind of where my head has been, and where my time has been, is just juggling kids and all the things. And so my only reading really has been the middle of the night, and unfortunately I'm up a lot in the middle of the night, and it's usually not my baby, it's usually my 2-year-old, but also I am still pumping at the night and all that kind of stuff. So I finished a lot of things, but not as much as I would have hoped. But let's just talk about it. So I finished Mad About You by Vari McFarlane, and I'm giving this 3.5 stars. So romance has not been my jam lately, but this one, it says, like, I think it says, and it's an emotional novel or something, and I wouldn't call it necessarily emotional as much as I would call it, like, it is a romance, I would say. I guess this one really, for me, toes the line between romance and women's fiction, because it is a romance. Primarily, it is about this woman named Harriet, and she is with this guy that's supposedly perfect on paper, and then he proposed, like, she is a wedding photographer, yet has no interest in being married, like, the domestic life, not her jam. And so he proposes, and she's like, no, you know, this really just brings to light we are not for each other. And so they break up, and she moves in with this guy named Cal. And her and Cal have a funny connection that they find out that, I'm not going to tell, it's like minor spoiler, I guess, but so I'm not going to say it, but it's cute, and they have like a bantery friendship. I would say this is like a friends to lovers situation, and like, so that's going on, but there's a lot going on with Harriet that is not the romance, and like a lot of times the romance takes a back seat. And so I like really I enjoy that. I enjoy more of the women's fiction side of things. And this book has a lot to do with Harriet coming to terms with her past relationships and some abuse that happened in those relationships, and kind of like a Me Too movement type thing. So if that's a trigger for you, maybe avoid this one, but I really liked that element of it, and liked that this was about, it was a friends to lovers romance, which I love that trope. I guess you would say that. And I mean, they share an apartment and that kind of stuff. So there's a lot of kind of tropes moving here. But that wasn't all that there was to this. So 3.5 stars. It wasn't the best thing ever. In fact, like a few days later, I'm really already kind of hazy on the details, but I liked it more than I expected to. So then I finished that, like, long story short, we put our kids to bed, and then I am up for like the first pump session, and then I go to sleep for a while, get a second pump session, go to sleep for a while, wake up. And so I finish it right at the beginning of that first pump session. And so I started Otter by Christina Applegate. I don't know. Catherine, I think, Applegate. And this one is really good. And I think I had said I wasn't sure if I was going to read this physically or on audio. And I ended up doing mostly audio because it was the middle of the night. I didn't want to turn on the lights because Etta is still in our room. And so I didn't want to turn on the lights, but I wanted something kind of quick and easy and just sweet. And I definitely got that from this. So this is like a 2-hour audiobook. And so if you listen on 2 times speed, it takes an hour to read. And that honestly is my chief complaint, which it's told in verse. And so and it's short, it's a middle grade. So there's really not much, like, I don't know if that's a legit complaint about this, except you get like the first full circle story of this little otter. And this otter gets a shark bite and goes to this rehab facility, aquarium thing. And as a young sea otter pup, I don't know what they're called, and then she gets released back into the wild, and we kind of follow her journey, okay? And so it's a good full circle moment, and this made me way more interested in the Monterey Bay Aquarium, which I have a sister who lives not far from there, and so I was talking to her, and she was like, yeah, it's so cool. And like I said, this is based on a real life program. It's like inspired by the true story of a Monterey Bay Aquarium program that pairs orphaned otter pups with surrogate mothers. And so I thought that was really sweet, and I liked seeing like the full circle moment for this otter. I just wanted a little bit more. So it was sweet. It was cute. I would probably give it 3.5 stars. Definitely good for a quick read that will inspire more, but not necessarily like super satisfying, I guess. And so I really wanted to read Remarkably Bright Creatures after this, and I didn't because I cannot get a copy, you guys. I cannot, like, I'm number 60 something on the physical, number like 70 something on the audio and ebook. Like, I cannot get a copy anywhere. So I really wanted to like stick with the vibes, but I didn't. And so now I've moved on to She Wouldn't Change a Thing by Sarah Alaka. Maybe, I don't know. And this one I think is the one that I said I was going to like the most because it really gives me Dream Daughter vibes. And I think my expectations are a little off. I'm only a quarter of the way through, but it follows a therapist named Maria. So it follows a therapist named Maria, and she's married and is very, very pregnant with her 3rd kiddo. And so she's got 2 girls, and she's pregnant with a boy. And one day, one of her clients comes in and says, like, I'm from the future, and here are things you need to look out for, and you need to do these things to keep your baby safe. And so in that regard, it is very similar to the Dream Daughter, but the way this is all unfolding is a lot different. And like, I'm a quarter of the way through, and I'm still really confused on how things are working, like, and what all is going on exactly. And I don't mind that because I'm only a quarter of the way through. It's got a lot of time to unfold. But we're also getting an alternating perspective from a gal, another gal. I can't remember her name. I don't know. Jenny. Jenny is her name. And I know how she fits, but I'm not sure what significance her point of view has quite yet. So, still a lot up in the air with this one. I'm enjoying it. It does not hook me in the same way that the Dream Daughter did, but I'm not expecting this. Like, Dream Daughter is one of my favorite all times, and so I'm not expecting this to, like, replace that or even, like, stand up to that, but I think, like, subconsciously kind of comparing them. So, we'll just see how this goes. So far, so good. Hey, everyone. So it is a couple days later, and you guys, we are having like a freak warm spell here in Kansas, and it's awesome. It is awesome. Yesterday was almost 70 degrees in February, and today is not as warm, and the next 3 days are going to be cold again. But for a while it's out, and it's not that windy. It's beautifully sunny. We are just loving everything. So it has been a really crazy week, as always. Like, it feels like every week. Etta has had physical therapy, cranial facial therapy, lactation consultant. We're trying to work on teaching her to breastfeed. And it has just been a lot. So if you guys have not been here for a while, I know there's a couple new people. I had a preemie in August. She was 2 months early. And so she has all sorts of different medical complexities that we're working through. And that combined with now 5-year-old and two almost 3-year-old is a lot. So that's just really been consuming me. But I finished She Wouldn't Change a Thing. And like, really? Because I feel like the whole book, she's actually trying to change everything. So the title is a little like mind bending and like head scratching. Like, what? Because I think she would change a thing. I mean, I get why that's the title, but the whole book, literally, she's trying to change things. I had too high of expectations for this book, honestly. Not because it's a bad book, but because it just, like, I set it on a pedestal that it just wasn't able to meet. So this book is not like The Dream Daughter. The cover is the same. The element of time travel is there in a similarly, but they're very, very different. So this woman, she's a therapist, and one of her clients, patients, whatever, comes into her office and is like, hey, do this, don't do this, or else bad things will happen, basically. And so she's like, what? And assumes she's kind of crazy, but then it's like, well, wait, is she right? Like, what? And then she wakes up in her 17-year-old life. Okay, so that is the premise. And then she's in her 17-year-old life, not sure how she got there, not sure why, not sure what's going on, not sure how to get back, all those kind of things. And that is the time travel element, and that is the basic premise of the book. Now, there's a lot of complexity, and I feel like, I don't know if this is a debut. I feel like it was, but maybe I'm making that up. But I feel like the author put a lot of thought into how it all works and the connections between people throughout different timelines, and it really made me think about like the impact relatively small decisions could have on your life, and you know, kind of hindsight, like if you knew then what you know now, how things would be different and what decisions you would make. And it also simultaneously, I have gotten in this terrible habit at night of scrolling TikTok, and my best friend and I send TikToks back and forth, and it's like the best personalized For You page ever when she sends me these. But there was one about like a mom hack or something, when you are driven up the wall by your kids and everything is just making you crazy. You guys are all on each other's nerves, which has been pretty much how our week has been. Just picture yourself as like a 90-year-old woman, and your kids are all grown and all that kind of stuff, and like got me so emotional, and she was so emotional about it. And that's kind of what this book is. It's like, imagine you can't have your mundane life, and that's what you want, you know. So there's that element for sure, and the element of like how decisions change the course of your life in retrospect, hindsight, whatever. So I really liked all that, and I liked that it was clearly thought out how everybody would connect in all the different timelines. But I feel like communicating that to us as the reader came off really overly complex and confusing at times. Like it was just like, how is this happening? Why is this happening? Is this really why it's happening? Like that, it just was a little much for my feeble brain. But like I understood everything, and I got the whole point of the book. And the other thing I didn't love about it is kind of what it says about people, and like it almost like, yes, you have a lot of impact on things, but almost as if you are a pawn that's replaceable by virtually anybody. And maybe it's my own thing that I got that vibe, because like that's not explicitly stated. I just got that vibe, and I don't like that, and I don't agree with that. So overall, like, and because of like the super complex connection and web of different timelines and different people and stuff, it was kind of like a struggle to read at times. And also I felt like it took a really long time to get to the time travel element. So for all those reasons, I think I'm going to give it 3.5 stars. And I think part of my lack of enjoyment is because of my high expectations. So there's that. Now I'm reading Wait For It by Mariana Zapata, and this is on Kindle Unlimited, and I've had it available to me this whole time, and I've been putting it off because it's big. like, it is big. I got the physical copy, of course, from the library, and it's like 600 and something pages. And I was like, I'm going to at least start on ebook, just to kind of get me into it because it's big. And I kind of think I would have DNF'd it by now if it wasn't for this project, because one of the things, like, I don't mind language in books. I generally don't, unless it's super duper excessive and like pointless. I don't really mind, with the exception of using the Lord's name in vain. And it happens in the first chapter, like the first couple pages. And normally my rule is if it happens twice, then I'm out. And it has definitely happened twice. But I'm trying to continue for the sake of this vlog and for the sake of this project, just so I can give full opinions on it. So, otherwise, language in general is not great in this book, but that wouldn't be a deal breaker. It's about this woman who, she is the aunt to two young boys, like a 10-year-old and a 5-year-old. And it's her brother's kids, and I think her brother has died, and she is trying to just do the best for them. She's trying to make a life for them and take care of them and get a job and all that kind of stuff and have a good job. She's a hairstylist and has just moved to a new house in this neighborhood that she thinks is a great neighborhood. Schools are great, whatever. And like the first night there, the little boy comes in and is like, hey, there's people fighting outside my window. And so she goes next door, and it is this guy getting beat up. And come to find out, the guy that's getting beat up is the brother of her neighbor. And so it's her relationship with these brothers, as well as her relationship with her nephews that she's raising. And I'm liking it, I guess, asterisk. I'm like a third of the way through. I'm liking it. I'm sure in Mariana Zapata fashion, it's going to be a really slow burn romance. I'm not exactly sure. There's like the best friend that she works with, and there's some dynamics that are potentially interesting, but I don't know, just okay. Language is really a bummer for me. So I'll check in and let you know once I finish. Hey everyone, so forgive the lighting. I'm outside and it is so sunny right in my eyes. But I have finished Wait For It by Mariana Zapata, and I liked this. No, I didn't really like this book, honestly. I gave it 3 stars, and I feel like that may be a little bit generous because this is a 600 and something page book where nothing happens, really. It is, so from the beginning, I got a bad taste in my mouth because of the language, and the language continues throughout. It does not use the Lord's name in vain as much as it does in the very beginning, which is good, but language is not great. And it's about this woman raising her nephews and like falling in love with her neighbor. And as with always, it is slow burn. Her son plays on the baseball team of this guy, and there's some familial stuff with his, like, he is cousins with her best friend, so there's some of that. And there's some issue, like some familial stuff with her as to why she's raising her nephews. And I mean, so there's a little bit of depth and all of that, but like just nothing, what happens is very repetitive. Like she has emotional breakdowns where he just like kind of creepily happens to be there and wants to comfort her, even though he's like this closed off hard dude because was married and in this bad relationship. And yet, I mean, none of the people felt authentic to me, because she is supposedly this like tough as nails, not nice lady, and yet she has these like emotional breakdowns and vulnerability, which happen. Like, I understand that juxtaposition in people, but in front of this relative stranger multiple times. So that didn't feel authentic. And then he is like very closed off to women because he's been done dirty, and yet he's like, oh, let me take care of you. And I just didn't feel like that was authentic. And 600 some odd pages of nothing really, I just didn't like it. So I enjoyed it, like my experience, okay, but definitely just a 3-star. Yeah. And so now the only book left is Remarkably Bright Creatures. And you guys, I cannot get a copy of this book. I am number 267th or something in line, but I'm going to give it a couple days and see if by some miracle I get a copy, because I'm on hold for physical, ebook, and audiobook. So if I get a copy, I'll read it. If not, I would like for this video to go up here in like 4 or 5 days. So if I don't get it here in about 2 days, I will just close out this vlog and we'll just put that on the back burner, and I will read it another time.
because right now it's saying 8 weeks. So we'll see. So I guess I'll check in and let you know for sure if this vlog is over or not. And we'll talk about if I was anywhere near correct in the order that I predicted. So we'll talk to you soon.
Okay, guys, so story time. I am back, and the reason is, so I'm still, I think the soonest possible time to get Remarkably Bright Creatures is like 7 weeks. I'm still in the 200s for both the ebook, the audiobook. I'm like number 70 for the physical, etc., etc. Well, today is Sunday, February 19th, and this weekend was one of like the libraries near us, their bookstore, or book sale, and so we went and got stuff. Like, I took all 3 kids, and so I was thinking about like vlogging, but then I was like, I'm crazy. In fact, it's funny, it started at 9 o'clock on Friday morning, and I was like, I've never gone even really on Friday, I don't think. I always just wait till Saturday, because then I don't have to take the kids and I can like browse a little bit more comfortably. But I was like, well, we got nothing going on, let's do it. So we go at like 9:10. We just kind of casually went. I was not worried about getting there right at 9 or anything. And you guys, it was madness. Like, I have never seen so many people wanting to get in this bookstore. And I was like wishing I had leashes for my kids, because it was crazy. And so I was glad we got there early, because I mean, people were leaving with boxes and boxes of stuff, because everything was under $1. It was like hardcovers were $1 and paperbacks were 50 cents, and it was just universal. And so whatever, that's not why I'm here to talk about it, but I went, like, we also had stuff to pick up and take back and that kind of stuff, so we did it. And then got home, and I was like, I should look and just see where I'm at, like what my status is on all these holds, because I have 4 library cards. I don't know if I said that, but 4 library cards, and 2 of them I'm on hold physically, and then the others, ebook, audiobook, all that, because they're like the Brooklyn Public Library and stuff where I couldn't get them physically. So I'm looking, and it says that there is a physical copy on Hotpick or whatever in the library that I was just in. In my county, there are 19 libraries, and it was in the one that I was in. And so I was like, gosh darn, I don't even look at the Hotpick shelf, because I don't like that kind of pressure. And so I didn't even look, and then it was there, just sitting there. And like, you can't put them on hold because they're the Hotpicks. And if I were to put it on hold, I was on hold for like number 70. And so one available copy in 19 libraries, and it was right under my nose. So the next morning, yesterday, I told Jeremy, I was like, I just gotta go. So you guys, I got the goods. So I'm in the middle of reading something else physically, and then I'm going to read this, because you guys, for a book to be in this high of demand, it has got to be good. And my hopes are getting higher and higher, and I'm really hoping I'm not let down. But it's a Read with Jenna book, and maybe if you guys want to see a vlog of like me trying Read with Jenna books, Reese's book club does me dirty quite a few times. Oprah's book club has done me dirty quite a few times, but maybe Read with Jenna is the way to go. I don't know. So I'm hoping that I'm not getting too hyped up for this, but I'm like really on fire for reading right now. I'm loving it. So hopefully I will come back soon and tell you, I have to come back soon, because I only have this for like 2 weeks or maybe 10 days or something. So we'll see how it goes.
Hey everyone, so I have finished The Things We Leave Unfinished by Rebecca Yarros, and this is my first Rebecca Yarros, and it will not be my last. I have heard about her from like a bunch of different people, and nothing but good things. And like I said in the beginning, like, I've heard that she will rip your heart out, and this book did not necessarily like make me cry, or was not overly emotional for me, but I could see how if you had like military background or military experience, it could be a little bit more hard-hitting, like emotionally. But I still enjoy this book a lot, like 4 stars. It's told in dual timelines. So we get the granddaughter of a woman who was in World War II. So the granddaughter is Georgia, present day. Her grandmother has died and left a bunch of, like, a box of letters that are like journal things or something, kind of telling her story. And she falls in love during World War II. And that is not who Georgia's grandfather is. So we know that their story ends, but we don't know how. And so there's like a Nicholas Sparks-esque guy named Noah. He's a romance author, and he is charged with like finishing a novel that she was writing from her, based on her story. And so he comes, and Georgia is instantly really like defensive, because she does not want to have her grandmother's story told wrong. You know, I mean, she wants it to be the way she thinks it should be. And so there's an instant like bantery relationship, but they have to work together to get this book published. And so it's told like that is one timeline that we get throughout the book, and then the other one is during World War II from the grandmother's perspective. And it almost never happens that I'm like equally interested in both, and that I definitely was this time. I feel like it was the perfect amount of historical for non-historical lovers, and it was very just engaging. Like, I feel like it was really engaging. I was really entertained throughout. I don't think I'll remember it forever and ever. But I was surprised by like the little twisty bit, and I was engaged throughout. I really enjoyed it. And, it did have a lot of depth to it. So I wasn't like crying about it, but it was not just a straightforward cheesy romance. That's for sure. So I really enjoyed it, and I'm happily going to pick up more Rebecca Yarros in the future. So, yeah, I call it a win.
Hey everyone, so I'm back and I have finished, and I honestly didn't even read this physical book because we have had some curveballs this week. So we got the stomach flu, it hit our house, and it has been rough. And now 3 days later, we are still dealing with sick kids and lots of stuff not great. And so I read this well, let me tell you how I read it. So also in this past week, my mom had a birthday, and my mom is on vacation. They leave for like the whole winter because Kansas winters are terrible and they can. So, and what she does is lay on the beach and read Kindle books, and we share a Kindle account. And so she was like, hey, let's buy some stuff for the Kindle. And so I said, okay, do you have any interest in this? And she was like, sure, let's do it. So we bought this on Kindle and we both read it. And honestly, you guys, I'm going to say I'm a little disappointed. I gave it 3.5 stars, but there were definitely times in the middle of this that I had I was so indifferent on if I picked it up or not. I could have put it down and just kind of left it. So, my expectation for this book was that it was going to be a lot about the octopus and a lot about the woman who like cares for the aquarium. That's sort of what this book is about, but not really. So Tova is I think recently widowed. She's like 70 or something. She lost her son 30 years ago. He was 18 years old and died in an accident. And so now she's lost her husband, she's lost her son, and so she works at this aquarium, and she does basically janitorial services at night. And while she's there, this octopus keeps getting out. His name is Marcellus. He gets out, and he does kind of goofy, silly tricks and things. And we get chapters from Marcellus's point of view, and I just wanted more of that because he's funny, he's quirky, and he gives us a perspective on the humans in the situation. And I thought I was going to get more of that, and I didn't. So that was fine. I also really expected this to be kind of literary, which is why I was a little bit nervous about it, and it's not. So we get Tova's perspective as she's there working at the aquarium. She's got a group of friends. There's a lot of life changes going on for her. And then we get another perspective of a man named Cameron. He's 30 years old, and he was raised by his aunt, and now he and his girlfriend have broke up. He can't keep a job, et cetera, et cetera. And he decides to go in search of his dad. So his mom has left the scene. He has no interest in finding her, but his dad, he thinks he knows who it is, and he's going to try to find him. Well, it brings him to this aquarium, and he gets a job filling in for Tova because she is out with an injury. And so those stories connect, and yeah, we get those perspectives. I really wanted more from Marcellus. The rest of it was just okay. And this is not very literary. In fact, I would say this is almost just cheesy fiction. So it is a feel-good story that does make you feel good. And I ended up giving it 3.5 because by the end I was like, okay, that was sweet, that was cute, etc. I mean, it was fine. But there's a twist that I don't think it's supposed to be a big surprise, but it is so obvious so early that it just felt really cheesy. And I don't know, you guys, the writing style did not keep me engaged. The overall story and plot was interesting, but I don't feel like I didn't get a strong connection to anybody. And so it was really just okay for me, which is really a bummer because I think I had hyped this up in my head because of all the weights and how sought after this book is. So I was surprised that it was just okay. So let's go through it now. So as a reminder, my predicted order was She Wouldn't Change a Thing, followed by Otter, and then The Things We Leave Unfinished, Remarkably Bright Creatures, Wait for It, and then Mad About You. I was so wrong, you guys. So I gave The Things We Leave Unfinished was my favorite at 4 stars. Then I gave the next 4 3.5 stars. So they're all kind of equal in my rating. But so I had a clear winner and a clear not winner. The Things We Leave Unfinished was my highest rated at 4 stars. Wait for It by Mariana Zapata was my lowest at 3 stars. And then in the middle, I would say it was Mad About You was probably my number 2. And then Remarkably Bright Creatures was my number 3. She Wouldn't Change a Thing, number 4. Otter, number 5. Not because it was bad. I just wanted more and I felt teased by it almost. So I was really off. I was way off on my prediction. I have no idea. And in general, these books were all good. I mean, that averages out to a 3.5 star rating, which is good. I would recommend it, but no favorites. And so I don't know. The other thing that I did not mention about this Remarkably Bright Creatures is they do my one hard pass. So there's no steamy scenes in this because there's no romance. And so that's something I really don't like. The other thing is with language, I don't really mind language unless it's super duper excessive, except when we use God's name in vain. And it happens once in the book. And normally my rule is if it happens once, I'll forgive it. If it happens twice, probably I'm done. And it happened once, but then one of the chapter headings is that. And so if that's a hard pass for you, this is very minor on language. The language they just choose to use is the one that I really, really can't stand. So there's that. But so yeah, I was way off. These were all 3.5 stars. I would recommend, but not new favorites. And so these were all recommended by Instagram, which is just a hodgepodge of people from Bookstagram, from BookTube, from real life, from just random accounts that I follow or they follow me or whatever. My Instagram is a mess. And so, now stay tuned because I really like this idea of you guys picking things for me. And I posted this on Facebook as well. So we'll see, and Facebook is almost all just in real life friends. And so let's see if maybe that goes a little better if I find a winner. So, let me know if you've read any of these books, what you think about them. Let me know if this one, the hype got you, if you're on the hype train, what you think. So thank you so much for watching. We'll see you in the next one.